Hello to all the debt warriors out there, and welcome back to another episode of Millennial Debt Domination. I'm your host, Katie Fata, and I'm delighted for all of you to hear today's guest. Today's episode will be a bit different than some of our previous episodes. Instead of tackling one specific topic, I'll be interviewing a previous Navicore client, Chantelle. Chantelle has successfully completed Navicore's Debt Management Program, and she's passionate about sharing her success story with others. Chantelle was in her 20s and found herself with 6 credit cards, and over a couple years, she found herself with $24,000 worth of credit card debt with high interest. Chantelle had a young child at the time, and she knew she couldn't go through life with all that accumulated debt while raising a child. This is when she did an online search, found Navicore, and decided it was time to make a change in her life. She knew before her initial call with Navicore that she was ready to enroll in the program, but after speaking with the Navicore counselor, she felt more confident that she would be able to dominate her debt. Let's get to Chantelle, and she can explain more of her success story to you. Hi, Chantelle. Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a blessing to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So I'm so excited for our listeners to get to know more about your success story, I like to call it, about Navicore. So I guess just to start off, can you talk about your situation before you started the debt management program and how you accumulated your debt?
Yeah, I mean, before debt management, I didn't really have the guidance from, my parents really about saving money. My mom was more like a money hoarder. She was more scared, when it came to money. So it was just like, she just wanted to hoard it. And my dad just spent it left and right. So it was like, either for me, it was like I was going to spend it left and right, or I was going to go into that fear state around money. But there was never like a healthy conversation around money. It was just two extremes of the unhealthy. So in my early 20s, I just partied really hard. I was really, really into like the scene, like the lesbian club scene in LA and also in San Francisco. And I spent a lot of money on alcohol and just partying and eating out at restaurants. Later on, like in my life, when I was like, wow, maybe the drinking so much wasn't a great idea. And just dealing with, growing up in trauma, I realized, okay, well, maybe I should do something maybe for myself spiritually. So I ended up putting like spiritual retreats on my credit cards and all those things. But really all, it was great. I was learning great things, but I was racking up that debt. So before Navicore Solutions, I had reached over $24,000 of high interest credit card debt.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that is a lot of money.
Yes.
So after you saw all this debt build up, $24,000, is that when you knew you were ready to turn to Navicore? Was there something else in your life that kind of led you to it? What was the exact moment where you just thought, okay, I need help?
Well, the main thing is like, it's funny because it's just not like a normal thing that most people be pushed to, but I started going to my spiritual center, which was ICOTA in Los Angeles, and my guru, Swami Pramadaya, had mentioned, it's time for you to grow up, Chantelle. You have a son. I have a young son, and at the time he was, I believe, 2, or he was about 2 years old. So 1 or 2 actually. And then he had said, debt in general is a metaphysical problem. It holds you back metaphysically, which is a spiritual problem because it blocks you spiritually. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. I've never, ever heard from any spiritual teacher anything about debt, Right. But the more he talked about it, I looked at my life and I was like, I think he's right. Like, it was like these opportunities were trying to come to me, and it was like something energetically kept holding them back. Like I was acting at the time, I was auditioning, and I had two auditions for a commercial, and it was this beautiful day where I booked both commercials. And for an actor, like a broke actor, that's like, oh my God, yes. But then something happened where both those like both commercials shot on the same day. So I ended
Mhm.
up having to pick one. So I lost one. And then I picked one, and then I ended up then like I was working with a baby, and the baby was crying, so I couldn't
Mhm.
even work with the baby. They had to cast the mother of the baby. So it
Mhm.
was just like this whole thing, like things just kept slipping through the cracks, and I was like, God, it really does feel like something's working against me. And it's just like, yeah, like some of my energy was just held up in the past. Like I owed money, I needed to pay it off, and then I started seeing my credit card bills add up, and it was just like, it was like this little thing I kept tucking away in the back of my mind so I could get through the day, because taking care of a young child is hard,
Mhm.
with that pressure. Like I just really didn't need the pressure, but I couldn't pay more than my minimums. And meanwhile, I'm seeing interest as high as 24 point over 24%, over 25%, which is interesting because I was over 24K in debt with
Yeah.
over 20, I think it was like 26%
Mhm.
interest. That's impossible.
I know that's so crazy. So, how exactly did you find Navicore?
I did a Google search for debt
Okay.
management, and I knew that I wasn't going to go for one of those companies where I had to pay a bunch of money,
Mhm.
or stop. No, no, I had to pay them money and then stop paying my credit cards. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
So then, and then I know you contacted Navicore. So I'm just kind of, because, I know a lot of people when they contact Navicore, they're kind of skeptical about the program and they're not
oh yeah,
sure.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I could
after
see.
your first initial call with Navicore, what were your first thoughts on the program? And were you skeptical or did you believe that like Navicore can actually help you change your life around?
Well, I looked up Navicore online, and I remember seeing that it was a 501(c)(3. So I was like, okay, that
Yeah.
seems less shady. And then I remember seeing that it's from New Jersey. I'm from a small town in New Jersey, Vineland. And
Yeah.
I just felt like it was meant to be. And I said, you know what? It's not going to hurt me to call them and talk to a counselor and see what they have to say. Nobody can force me
Exactly.
to do anything. Yeah. And I was like, I don't have to do anything.
Mhm.
If I make that call and I don't decide not to do it, then I don't do it.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so what, like when you talked to the counselor, then you really were like, all right, they could really help me out. And
Yeah,
then,
the counselor guy, I wish I remembered her name. She was
yeah.
a beast.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like if I search it on my Gmail, I could find the name of the
Yeah.
counselor,
But,
because she was so just, oh my God, she nailed it. I mean, she was like, she's from home, just that Jersey girl. She had the accent, everything. She was like, we're gonna do this. This is what's up. This is what we can do for you. This is what she was like, how does this payment sound? $300 a month. How does that sound?
yeah.
Um, and and I was like, wow, that sounds doable.
So then you enrolled in the program after the first initial call, right?
I did. I
Yeah.
immediately enrolled.
And then
And
when yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm looking through my stuff now, and I'm just thinking about it, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, God, I can't believe how easy it was.
Yeah.
I had signed up. It was the debt solution program, and it was like,
Mhm.
congratulations, you're enrolled. And I had had my counseling session, and this was in February. This must have been my Valentine's Day gift to myself because this was February 14th,
Oh,
2018.
okay. Yeah, okay. And then so when you enrolled in the program and when you first started the program at the beginning, it seems like a lot, I know. So did you feel more confident that you would eventually become debt free?
Well, I mean, I think at the time it was really just a matter of, wow, these credit card payments are doable. Seeing the light at the tunnel, I absolutely saw it. I just didn't see it happening as fast as it did.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, at what point did you see the light at the end of the tunnel? Like halfway through the program? When was that?
Well, I could tell you, I'll tell you. It was not this tax. It was last year at the same time at tax time.
Okay.
So me and my son's father, we co-parent my son. So
Hmm.
every other year we claim him.
Oh,
So
okay.
last year was my year to claim him, which means I got a bigger, you know,
Hmm.
tax refund. And I knew that that tax refund was all going towards paying debt because at that point I was really committed. And I think what I underestimated at the time And was that when, what I've experienced personally is that when the universe knows you're very serious, that out of nowhere, that's when miracles come.
Uh-huh.
It's like I felt like I was an arrow pointed towards my target. And at that point, the universe was like, okay, well, that's where she's headed and she's focused and she's clear on it. So
Hmm.
I'm going to come in with miracles left and right. And out of nowhere, I already had a good chunk of money I was going to put towards it. And then what happened was my brother called me out of nowhere and said, "I see that you're really serious about this," and he cut me a check for eight thousand
Oh.
dollars.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that is insane.
And this is like it wasn't it literally came out of nowhere. And I know anybody hearing this is probably like, "Oh, that's why this girl paid off her debt because her brother."
Yeah.
No, my
Yeah,
brother's never given me
exactly.
money like that. Like
Hmm.
that's never happened for me in my life. Like
Hmm.
um we're from a small town in New Jersey, and
Right.
we lived on a farm in Deerfield where you know there I remember it being like Christmas one day that we found a packet of Kool-Aid in the cracks of a cupboard. Like our you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so it wasn't like, my brother was ever really even in a position to do that for me as much as he would have liked to. It really was a miracle. And it's one of
Hmm.
those things that it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It really was like what my guru had said. It was a metaphysical holdback. The other miracle that happened too was out of nowhere, somebody who had stolen money from me, a friend of mine who I had partied with, one of my party buddies, had stolen money from me. And then out of nowhere on Square Cash, I got a notice saying I got $500. And
Really?
apparently he was in some sort of program where he wanted to, say sorry. And he contacted me and said, "I'm sorry, here's the money back." So
Mhm.
like when I say this, like it was a miracle, it was like one of those things, but I had to get really clear first.
Right. Right, definitely. Yeah, and some that always obviously miracles don't happen to everyone, but in your situation, it worked out for you. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, because I let it
yeah,
work out for me. You know what I mean? It's
exactly,
like it really was one of those things where it's like, it's you don't really I don't think anybody goes, "Oh yeah, a miracle's gonna happen." It just
exactly.
happens, like, but it really is kind of like for me, I felt like it really was because I was clear on it.
Yeah, and I guess I know. So at this point, you saw the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, right?
At that point, I saw the light at
Yeah.
the end of the tunnel. I made a payment.
Hmm.
Um, I made my payment before my brother even gave me the money. I made my payment for getting that tax refund. And then
Hmm.
I made the payment. And then I remember another woman with like a real strong Jersey accent. She was like, "You're doing a fabulous job with this account, Chantelle. You're doing a fabulous job with this account." Because I'd asked her, I said, "How many more payments do I have? Like, how much do I owe
Yeah.
now?"
Right.
And then I realized, oh my God, this is getting paid off
It's
the end
happening.
of this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
how would you describe the Navicore's debt management program to someone who is either considering the program or has no idea what a debt management program is? Because there are so many people who don't even know what exactly it is. So how would you describe it to someone?
Well, the way I would describe it is it's a really down to earth, realistic system where they really do take your actual debt and they told me, "Look, this is what we can do for you." So it wasn't like some sort of like get out of jail free card. I got to keep my responsibility in it. And the small business owners that I ran the card up, they got their money back. Navicore Course steps in and says, "Okay, you can't pay that, but can you pay this? We're going to get you to be right with your karma, pay back the money you owe, but we're going to make it reasonable." And it's not
Mm-hmm.
an over the night fix. Like I said, this was
Right.
February 14th of 2018, and we're in 2020 right now. And I paid my debt off, I think, earlier this year or something, like, or maybe late last year. It took close to 2 years, and that's like with the miracles I had. But without the miracle, it would have been an extra year. So it doesn't matter, 2 3 years, who cares, right? That's a blink of an eye in your life, and now I get to say that I'm debt free. But Navicore steps in and says, "Okay, what they're asking from you is ridiculous, and we're going to step in between. We're going to give you a realistic plan. We're going to we're going to chase away that interest rate disaster. That's that real shark in the tank, that knife looming over your head, you know.
Mhm.
We're going to take away all of that. And on top of that, we're going to give you some counseling on how to work with
Yeah.
money, you know, and also, oh, by the way, you know, you wanted to start that business, you know, I wanted to start a production company. They led me to SCORE. A SCORE counselor told me how to set up my production company. My production company is a year old. I got um, a music video chaos. You know, you can look it up online, and it exists. And obviously, honestly, without Navicore, it wouldn't have happened. We ended up getting a sponsor and over 70,000 views on 3 social media platforms. I mean, I
That's
get to see
awesome.
my dreams blow up now. You know, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was a
And
metaphysical setback. It was. I
yeah.
agree with my guru 100%.
Yeah, and I know you were just saying that Navicore recommended you to a different company, right, to help. So I know that we provide financial other like financial education. So did you use those? And if so, how did it change your view of money and your money behaviors?
Credit the counselor, the money counselor was one of the things that she had recommended, which was
Hmm.
interesting, because now I have a very very specific budget that I've worked with my actual counselor, which is interesting. I always laugh. I'm like, Catherine, you fixed my money problems. Like, um, before I came to Navicore too, I was on government assistance.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like I was on food stamps and I was on, you know, just welfare in general.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it was really bad, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, so, you know, she was like, we gotta be more in integrity and paying our bills and stuff, you know. So I ended up working with her and I ended up getting a really great money, you know, budget plan.
Mhm.
But one of the things that before all that happened, before I even set up like the budget that I use, and by the way, like a budget for me is something that I break down and rebuild all the time. I love it and I love my
Right.
power in doing that. It is
Yes, that's what
awesome.
we always recommend like at least once a month to reevaluate the budget.
Yeah. And
Definitely. You
that's
have to.
so true. And it's something now that I don't dread. I love it. I like last time I looked for my like I was like, okay, we get to reevaluate and break down the budget again. And I was found myself like a child, like, yay. Because it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's like it's getting to be in my power. But I keep saying this, I keep blowing it up. But one of the things that the counselor said that really, really shifted me was she was like, well, she's like, you need to have like some extra money so that you can have some fun here. She's like,
Yes,
you need some vacation time. We need to plan for that. We need to, you know, that's
definitely.
what I thought about was so cool. You know, that the credit counselor was just like, no, we need to plan for you to have a full life, an enriched
Mhm.
life.
Mhm. No,
It wasn't just like,
definitely.
do this. She was like, no, I want to see you going on vacation. I want to see you retiring. I want to see you, you know, like I liked that she didn't know me, but she already saw me as somebody worthy of having that.
Right, definitely. And I mean, it seems like you had a great conversation with the counselor you talked to. So, at the end of the day, you were able to pay off your debt in what, about 2 years, you said?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So, are you happy that you decided to enlist the help of Navicore?
Are you kidding?
Yeah. I think I knew the answer, but I had to just ask it.
Like, should I ask this?
Yeah, I just
I'm
wanted to like hear
ecstatic.
it.
I'm ecstatic. And just, you know, because I know there's a lot of people that'll be like, wait a minute. You know, because I know what it's like. I've been there. I'm just like, miracles don't happen to people like me. This life is rough for me. Da 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 da. Whatever. Just so everybody knows. Like, had my brother not come me then, Jack, or
Mhm.
any of that, I would have been 3 years.
Right.
So 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Ask yourself, is it worth it for two to
Yeah,
three years?
it is. That's a great way to put it. Because people
And
might look at the payments and say, oh, is this worth it? But just think 2 years goes by so fast. 3 years even goes by so fast.
it's a blink of an eye. I mean, and
Oh,
also too, like it's not. I think the other thing is that people are thinking, well, I don't know, I gotta pay that big check. No, no, no. You're already paying way more than what Navicore is going to tell you to pay. You're
right.
already doing it. You're already out there paying high interest, 700, 1,000, $1,500 a month. Navicore is really going to consolidate it down to a realistic thing so that the 2 or 3 years will be like, wow, you'll be able to breathe right away. Like that's
Right.
one of the things I want to say is I felt after the conversation with the credit counselor, I literally felt myself exhale. I still remember that exhale. It was like, okay, I can do this. And then so it was like for the 2 or 3 years I buckled down in quotes,
Right.
it really, I felt way more comfortable than I was
Mhm.
paying those high interest credit card payments and trying to
Mhm.
balance this to 0% and this and this and this and this. And I got to stay in integrity. Everybody that I borrowed money from, I paid them back.
Right. And then money aside, some people might also not enroll in the program because they might be embarrassed to start the DMP program. What would you say to those people who are embarrassed and ashamed or something to do a debt management program?
You know what? I think, something that's helped me out is I feel like in my life,
Mhm.
I've finally gotten to a place where I'm okay playing my cards in my deck. And if
Right.
Navicore, if I can help you come to the place where you can say Navicore is a card in the deck, I'll tell you for sure that's like a king of spades there. That's an ace of spades there to play in your deck. Because you got to use what you have. And
Right.
there's no shame. I understand like what it's like, but it's like if you're thinking like, oh, should I contact Navicore? Should I do this debt management program? And you're really thinking about it, it's like it's I get it. I understand
Right.
the shame that's there, and it's like, oh, how could I not? But it's literally you and everybody else. It's you and almost everybody else sitting there thinking the same thing. Like you're not alone.
Right.
I was there. I tell people I paid off my debt, and they're like, oh, what's that number? What's that number? What's that number? I hear it all the time. Like you're so not alone. Like there's no need to feel shame about this. Most people were not taught how to take care of their money. And I hate to say it, like I don't think that that's innocent. If
Mhm.
everybody knew how to pay their money, if everybody was really strict on their budget, you know, get the advertising industry would be down. I mean, it's just everything would be down because it would just be like, you know, uh, most people they want you to mismanage your money
Right.
and buy their products, because that's good for them, but it's not good for you. And it's so empowering to be like, oh, that's great. I appreciate your face cream, but I'm gonna get it when I have the money,
Oh, yeah.
when I can actually buy it. And being able to walk in that power, but also not just visit that power, to be able to actually live there and say, no, I have envelopes, now. I literally split the cash into the envelopes.
That's a great system for budgeting.
I
So,
love it because I don't have self-control.
right. But but the envelope system is a good budgeting system.
It is. And I had the and it's like, all right, fine. At least I had the self-control to to do the envelope system. That's good enough. Like,
That is.
I believe who you are is enough. You just got to rewire it to make who you are work for you, not against you.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, totally. And when you think about budgeting stuff and even just enrolling in the program and if you're embarrassed or something, but you also have to think about the other people in your life. And I know you have your son. So I'm just, wondering what money lessons are you going to teach your son after you've enrolled in this program?
oh, okay, yeah. It's funny because I failed my own test once. So I don't know who's listening to this, but in California or in Los Angeles, we have a high Mexican population here. And in Mexico, you have the raspado man and elote. And what they do is they sell these iced, kind of shaved ice. If you're from the
Right.
New Jersey area, it's
Yes.
like that. And it's flavored. And then they sell this corn on the stick with the butter, and
Mhm.
sometimes the mayonnaise, which is gross. I don't like mayonnaise, but and then they put the chili on it, and it's like, but it costs $2, I think,
Right.
$2. And the raspado man was like, it's no problem. It's no problem. You can pay me next week. I'll give you the raspado today and you pay me next time you see me.
Mhm.
And one time I did. I did do that. I said, no problem. I'll pay you back. At some point, I panicked and I was like, where is this guy? I can't find him and I owe him money. I
Yeah.
finally found him. I gave him the $2. And then later he had said, I didn't have the money. And he said, no problem, no problem. And I looked at my son and I said, you never, ever take something you can't pay for.
Right.
Mama was wrong.
Mhm.
That's okay, because when we're wrong, we make mistakes. No problem. We'll be wrong again. It's
Right.
okay. You know,
Right. So, yeah. So now that you've completed our debt management program, can you just tell our listeners about your life now and what it's like to live debt free?
living debt free is fantastic. I'm
Right.
I'm completely credit card debt free.
That's
I
awesome.
Feels so good. I owe a few people money, just things that, I saved the 0% interest. That's like for the end. With my tax return, I will be debt free. I don't owe anybody a thing.
That's awesome.
It feels really good to see that number and say, okay, that's it, we're done.
Hmm.
Um, my I'm literally watching all the blessings that were just waiting for me. They were just waiting for me. I had this metaphysical setback, whatever, and they literally waited in line for me. They were like, we're just waiting here patiently till you sort that out and we're ready to come to you. And I look at my life. I was living with my mother. I still am. I'll be able to afford not living with my mom. And
Okay.
I'm approaching my 37th birthday. I started a production company a year ago called Spasa Productions, and I've been able to produce videos and short films and web series, which is what I've always wanted to do.
Hmm.
I got really clear. I think that debt in general too creates a metaphysical fog.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
really hard to even see what it is that you want because
Right.
that energy is so weighed in the past. It's almost like
Right.
there's a part of me that was stuck in the past. So now I'm living in the present because I'm not stuck anywhere. My motherhood flourished completely.
Oh,
Um, I My relationship with my son is profound. There's no other word for it. My respect, but the biggest, I'm not on government assistance anymore.
that's
I got
awesome.
a promotion at work, yeah, and then I literally, I mean, I could talk about the blessings all. It's like I wake up and I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. I can't
That's
believe it.
awesome.
I'll even have dreams about being in debt or dreams about credit card
Yeah.
companies and wake up and be like, this, oh my God, it's not the situation anymore.
Yeah, and I just want to congratulate you again on becoming debt free because that's awesome. Is there any final thoughts you might want to share with our listeners? Anything at all you could think of?
I'm trying to think.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I do. I also want to say that, I don't believe that when something works for you, you should be shy about it. I'm telling you, call Navicore right
Yeah.
now. Call them. Because it worked for me. And I don't believe that
Right.
anybody should be secretive about what worked for them. That's not fair. This idea that there's a small number of people that get to have the good stuff and everybody else, well, so sorry, you didn't make the cut.
I just want to thank you for being a guest today on the podcast and sharing your success story because I think that when people hear the success stories, they feel like, okay, I'm not embarrassed. I'm in debt too. I might as well give them a call. So I want to thank you for being here today.
And I think you're welcome. And I want to thank you for doing something like this because it's
Oh,
making a once taboo topic
mhm,
something that we can talk about and like giving people
definitely.
a platform to really relate to it. And it's
Definitely.
just such a healing idea and such a deconditioning, deprogramming idea. I love it. I love it. So thank you for doing something like this.
Well, thank you so much.
Listening to Chantelle's story is inspiring to anyone who is struggling with debt. It's important to not be ashamed of your debt or to be embarrassed to enroll in a debt management program. I think listening to client success stories not only helps potential clients enroll in the program, but it also helps us here at Navicore. Listening to our clients' success makes us feel good about the work we do here. At Navicore, we're here to make a debt management program that's right for you and help you on your path to a debt free life. If you're struggling with debt and interested in Navicore's program, check out the podcast notes. I'll put all the information for Navicore in there so that you can start your debt free journey. If you have any more questions about Navicore, feel free to tweet us at Navicore PR and let us know you heard the podcast. This wraps up another episode of Millennial Debt Domination. As always, make sure to subscribe to Millennial Debt Domination wherever you get your podcasts and rate and review us on iTunes. 5 stars, please. See you next time, Millennials, Gen Zers, and everyone else listening.